The average married Indian woman spends 3 hours and 30 minutes cooking per day. The average married Indian man spends 4 minutes basically opening the fridge to check if there is kaju katli. In 2021, Geo Baby made a Malayalam film called The Great Indian Kitchen. A woman cooks, serves, cleans, and does it again and again. 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. The horror was the repetition. The brilliance of the editing was to simply let the camera linger on the kitchen countertop. Just endless prep and cleanup. It traumatized and triggered half of Kerala and got remade in Hindi as Mrs. for the rest of the country. At caregiving, cleaning, and the rest, and the average Indian woman puts in 7 hours of unpaid work per day. The global gap between men and women is 2.8 hours. India's is nearly 4. Female workforce participation jumped from 23% to 37% between 2017 and 2023. More women work outside the home now. The 3.5 hours in the kitchen did not shrink. It got added on top of an 8-hour workday. Essentially, a double shift with no overtime pay. So, how did other countries handle this? When female workforce participation increased in Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia through the 1990s and 2000s, and I'm picking these countries because they have cultures similar to that of India, street food absorbed the shock. Bangkok has 400,000 street vendors. A working Thai family eats out or buys pre-cooked food for most meals. The red, green, yellow curry paste is pre-made. And this is not because they don't value home cooking, but because the economics made sense. Singapore's hawker centers are perhaps the most deliberate example. In the 60s and 70s, Lee Kuan Yew's government systematically moved street vendors off the roads and into purpose-built, government-subsidized hawker centers to formalize them. Hygiene improved, prices stayed low because rents were controlled, and eating out became the default for most Singaporean families. Today, Singapore has over 100 hawker centers with more than 6,000 stalls, and UNESCO recognized the culture as intangible cultural heritage in 2020. A plate of chicken rice costs less than what you would spend on ingredients to make it at home. The government essentially decided that if both parents are going to work, the state should make sure nobody has to feel guilty about not cooking. While Southeast Asia industrialized its kitchen, South Korea went a different route. Banchan culture, where dozens of small side dishes are prepped once and refrigerated for the week, became the backbone of a two-income household. Japan leaned into bento and convenience store meals that are as good as restaurant meals in most places. Even in China, the rise of communal canteens in workplaces and schools meant that cooking at home 3 times a day stopped being the default expectation. India did not do any of this. Street food exists, obviously, but it occupies a cultural category closer to sinful indulgence than workday dinner. Street food serves as workday food only for the working class. For the rest, the expectation of ghar ka khana, freshly cooked, served hot, made with love, meaning made by a woman, did not change. The kitchen did not modernize. Consider this. In 2023, microwave penetration in Indian households was roughly 5 to 8%, compared to over 90% in the US, 85% in Japan, and around 70% in China. Yes, 70%. All the while in India, viral reels that claim that China has banned microwaves continue to circulate. Even in Southeast Asia, where per capita incomes are comparable with India, microwave ownership is 30 to 50% in urban Thailand and Malaysia. India's refrigerator penetration has climbed to about 55% nationally, up from 30% a decade ago. But in rural India, it's still closer to 35%. Dishwashers, under 1%. The kitchen appliance that most directly threatens ghar ka khana ideology is not the stove or the mixer. It's the microwave, because it makes reheating effortless. And reheating is the gateway drug to meal prep. And meal prep is the thing that actually gives time back. But a microwave in an Indian kitchen carries a faint moral stain. It signals laziness, shortcuts, not real cooking. Funny thing, NRIs love and quietly do meal prep every week without their Indian relatives knowing. They cook in bulk, use the fridge and freezer, reheat food in the microwave, and they are on average healthier than people in India. But here, any kind of meal prep will be met with a volcanic eruption. From in laws and food influencers are like, reheated food has no nutrition, frozen food is unhealthy, food must be eaten in less than 2 hours after it is cooked. So, it is time to put this nonsense to rest. This video is about a machine that is capable of giving back to you hours of your life every single week. Your fridge. I know you probably have one, but I'm willing to bet you are not using it to its fullest potential because of WhatsApp uncles. Here is what does not happen in the fridge: nutrient destruction, toxin production, cancer introduction. 4 things actually happen when cooked food sits in a refrigerator at 4 Celsius. 1. Starch retrogradation. Cooking rice or roti gelatinizes the starch. Amylose chains absorb water, swell, and produce that soft, fluffy texture. Cooling in the fridge reverses this. Those chains recrystallize into ordered structures and squeeze out water. Leftover rice gets hard and clumpy. Day-old roti feels like a leather wallet. Reheat that rice and the starch re-gelatinizes, soft again. But something interesting happens during the cooling. Some retrograded starch forms RS3, resistant starch. Your small intestine cannot digest it. It passes to the large intestine where gut bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. White rice cooled for 24 hours at 4 Celsius in the fridge and reheated produces a lower blood sugar spike than fresh rice. Yesterday's rice is actually healthier for you. Number 2, protein aggregation. Cooking dal denatures the proteins, unfolding them from tidy structures. As dal cools, those unfolded proteins find each other and form new hydrogen bonds. The dal thickens, gets denser. Overnight dal develops that viscous, almost gluey texture. Paneer and meat proteins do the same. They tighten, which is why reheated chicken can feel rubbery. Reheating loosens the texture but will not undo all the toughening. However, the nutritional content is identical. Your body does not care about protein texture. It cares about amino acid chains, and 100% of those survive refrigeration. 3. Lipid oxidation. Fats oxidize at 4 Celsius, slower than at room temperature, but it still happens. This produces aldehydes and ketones, and that is the stale aroma you could get in reheated food, especially after a few days. This is genuinely one legitimate complaint about reheated food. Except Indian food has a built-in solution. Curcumin and turmeric, eugenol in cloves, cinnamaldehyde in cinnamon. They are all potent antioxidants that scavenge the free radicals that cause lipid oxidation. Indian curries and dals loaded with these spices resist this taste degradation far better than Western food. Indian masalas are not just for flavor, they are equally for preservation. Number 4, vegetable texture. Cooked vegetables in the fridge lose some moisture through osmosis into the surrounding gravy. Residual enzymes break down pectin, the structural glue keeping plant cells rigid. Things get a bit softer, a bit more wilted. No nutrient apocalypse, no mysterious toxins. Most of the vitamin loss people worry about happens during initial cooking, not during fridge storage, not during reheating. Microwave reheating studies show equal or better nutrient retention compared to your stove, because shorter heat exposure means less thermal degradation. And by the way, the only vitamins being lost to heating or reheating in the first place are water-soluble vitamins like B and C, nothing else. One side salad or some extra fruits fixes that problem. Your fridge holds your food until you are ready for it. That is all it does. And one added bonus. In many situations, Yesterday's dishes like biryani or gravies taste better than fresh cooked ones, and there is food science behind it. When a curry sits overnight, flavor molecules from spices, aromatics, and Maillard reaction products keep migrating through the liquid phase, evening out concentration gradients. That cumin taste that was intense near one chunk of potato yesterday is now distributed uniformly across the entire dish. Starch from lentils and vegetables leaches out, thickening the gravy and creating a more cohesive mouthfeel. And those spice compounds, eugenol, curcumin, capsaicin, are mostly fat soluble, so they slowly dissolve into the oil phase overnight, creating a smoother, more integrated flavor than the sharp individual spice notes you get from the fresh dish. Your tongue perceives this as richer and deeper. It's just thermodynamics doing its thing while you sleep. Indian dals and curries, with their complex spices and generous oil content, benefit more from this than most other cuisines. Now, let's go colder. A freezer running at minus 18 slows molecular motion to a crawl. Enzymatic reactions that would degrade your food in hours at room temperature stop. Bacterial growth pauses. Nutrient loss suspends. A freezer holds food in molecular suspended animation until you reheat. But most Indian households treat the freezer like a graveyard for ice cream and forgotten peas. And fun fact, fridge manufacturers put smaller freezers in the models they sell in India because Indians barely use the freezer. So, before I show you how to use a freezer well, let's understand one particular common problem. Your freezer runs at minus 18. Water in food freezes at that temperature. Water expands when it freezes. Large ice crystals rupture cell walls. When you take that food out of the freezer, the ruptured cells release their contents, so it becomes mushy. That's why frozen palak sometimes turns into green soup. The solution is speed. Fast freezing produces small crystals that sit between cells without puncturing them. Commercial IQF, individually quick frozen technology, does this. Those frozen peas you got from the supermarket were frozen within hours of harvest with crystals so small they leave the cells intact. Your home freezer is slower than commercial IQF, but you can cheat. Spread food in thin layers. Use flat Ziploc bags instead of deep containers. More surface area, faster heat transfer, smaller crystals, better texture. But again, remember, this does not mean you are losing nutrition in the freezer. Now, the really useful fact that kills the fresh is best argument. Those fresh vegetables at your local sabji mandi were harvested 3 to 4 days ago. Since harvest, enzymes have been degrading vitamins, converting sugars, breaking down cell walls. The broccoli sitting under a tarpaulin in 35 Celsius Chennai heat has been losing vitamin C since the moment it left the farm. Frozen vegetables get blanched, a brief heat treatment inactivating the two enzymes responsible for flavor, color, and texture degradation, and frozen within hours of harvest. Multiple peer-reviewed studies show frozen spinach, green beans, and carrots have vitamin levels equivalent to or higher than vegetables measured at harvest. A freezer is effectively like a pause button. Modern restaurants run on a French concept called mise en place. No professional kitchen cooks from scratch for each order. They will typically make the onion tomato based gravy early in the morning. All vegetables are chopped and refrigerated. The proteins are portioned and marinated overnight. When an order comes in, a cook assembles components. My favorite example is dal makhani. If you want to make it from scratch, it's an 8-hour process. Overnight soaking and extremely slow cooking to get that creamy texture. But when you order it in a restaurant, it arrives in 5 minutes because the chef took pre-soaked, pre-cooked dal, added it to prepped onion tomato masala, and topped it off with butter and cream. So you ate reheated, pre-made food and paid 450 rupees for it. And it was delicious. South Indian cooking already does mise en place a little bit better with dry and wet prep. Sambar powder, rasam powder, idli and dosa batter, pickle, papad, vattal. In fact, you will find more meal prep culture in states that have higher women workforce participation, like the southern states. So I am going to suggest 10 things you can prep once and use all week. or all month. Each buys back time without sacrificing nutrition or much flavor. 1. Ginger garlic frozen cubes. Blend, pour into ice cube trays, freeze. It lasts 6 months. Fresh paste in the fridge oxidizes and turns green within 2 to 3 weeks. Frozen garlic preserves the precursors to allicin, the compound behind garlic's flavor and antimicrobial properties. Pop 1 cube into hot oil. Be careful of the splatter. 2. Pre-cooked dal. Pressure cook tur, moong, masoor, chana, rajma in bulk. Portion into containers. Fridge for 3 to 4 days. Freezer for 2 to 3 months. Thick overnight dal loosens right back up with a splash of water when reheated. The tempering takes 90 seconds. A 30-minute dal reduces to 2 minutes of work. 3. Frozen vegetables. Brought or prepped. Buy commercial frozen peas, beans, corn, or blanch fresh vegetables for 60 to 90 seconds. Ice bath them dry and freeze flat. Blanching inactivates the enzymes that cause browning, bad flavors, and mushiness. The nutrient profile matches or beats anything at the store. 4. Frozen base gravies. Cook a large batch of onion tomato gravy or cashew cream base or chettinad gravy. Cool, portion into freezer bags or containers. This is what restaurants do. With a frozen base, you are 10 minutes from any gravy. Add protein, add spice, simmer. 5. Frozen tadka. Heat oil, add whole spices of your choice, make 10 portions, pour into ice cube trays or small containers. Freeze. Drop 1 frozen tadka bomb into reheated dishes. Spice flavors are fat soluble and survive freezing well. 6. Frozen rice. Cook a large batch. Cool, and you're building resistant starch during this step. Portion into bags, press flat, freeze. Thaw and reheat. You now have rice with a lower glycemic index than the fresh version. Meal prep actually makes the food healthier here. 7. Frozen roti or paratha. Roll out dough balls or cook rotis and stack with parchment paper between them. Freeze. Dough balls, thaw 30 minutes before rolling. Cooked rotis, reheat on tawa from frozen. 90 seconds. The starch retrogradation that makes the refrigerated roti leathery is much less pronounced, going straight from frozen to hot tawa. This is also what we do with freezing sourdough bread. 8. Pre-chopped frozen onions. The single most time-consuming and tear-inducing prep step in Indian cooking. Chop 2 kg, spread on a baking sheet, freeze until solid, transfer to bags. They will be mushier when cooked, which is perfect for gravies where you cook them to a soft texture anyway. Not for salads. Ideal for curries. 9. Coconut milk or paste. Frozen cubes. Extract thick coconut milk or grind fresh coconut into paste. Freeze in ice cube trays. A cube of frozen coconut milk dropped into a curry at the end is indistinguishable from fresh. The fat content protects the emulsion during freezing. Number 10. Your masala box. You're already doing this one. A box of pre-ground, pre-mixed spice powders is the original Indian meal prep hack. Sambar powder is 15 ingredients toasted and ground together. Make larger batches of spice mixes you use often. Kadai masala, chole masala, biryani masala. Store airtight and in the freezer. Core flavor compounds like piperine, curcumin, and capsaicin are stable. And one bonus. Boil a large batch of eggs and refrigerate them. Add 2 boiled eggs to every meal. That's 12 grams of the finest vegetarian protein you can get on the planet. The average Indian woman spends the equivalent of 53 full days of the year in the kitchen. Meal prep is not laziness. Not doing meal prep because you genuinely love cooking fresh food, absolutely fine. Not doing meal prep because you are judged by family and friends for it, change your friends and push back against your family. It's your time and your life. To paraphrase Alec Guinness from Star Wars, use the freezer.